Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from our studios downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. It means we're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. What If Wednesday in 15 minutes. JD PicKell from On3 Sports talking all things college football at 1:30. Talk a little Saints at the end of the first hour. We know now who LSU will play the next 4 years in conference play. We'll talk a little about that in the second hour. I want to dive deep into Ole Miss by the numbers in hour two as well, and we'll get to the next rendition of the SEC football power ranking. So lots to do over the next 2 hours. Let's crank it up. Genesis Opening Drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So Lane Kiffin's time on the Southeastern Conference Coaches Teleconference just finished seconds ago. And I don't see on my Twitter feed, I obviously can't listen to it right this second, I don't see a quote from him about his quarterback decision coming up. However, within the last 45 minutes, we have gotten a report from Chris Lowe and Pete Nakos of On3 that the Rebels are leaning towards starting Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback on Saturday against LSU. That would mean that Austin Simmons, their starter at the beginning of the season, who injured his ankle a couple of weeks into the year, still not 100%. Now, I think that Chris Lowe and Pete Nakos have a record that would suggest they're not just making this up. I think that this is correct. I also know that Lane Kiffin has been known to play some games injury-wise. I know that he doesn't see any reason whatsoever to reveal injury information. He handles injuries very much like Jay Johnson does at Alec Box Stadium. You don't need to know. I'll let you know when it's time to play. So my suggestion here, as I sit here on Wednesday afternoon, I think Trinidad Chambliss probably starts the game. Would I be flatline stunned to see Austin Simmons out there? I wouldn't. But we're going to talk about Trinidad Chambliss right now because this report has surfaced from the folks over at On3. Trinidad Chambliss is an amazing story. An amazing story. He grew up in Michigan and attended Ferris State. Now, I had to look up Ferris State, and I checked out the Wikipedia page. Ferris State was initially named Big Rapids Industrial School, then Ferris Industrial School, Ferris Institute, Ferris State College. That's been 1963 to 1987, and since it has just been called Ferris State University. Among the notable alums of Ferris State, I stumbled upon one that I knew of in any capacity, and that is former Tennessee Vols head coach Butch Jones went to Ferris State. I'm pretty sure I'm aware of Jeff Kellogg, the retired Major League Baseball umpire. That name rings a bell. A former coach of the Red Wings also went to Ferris State, but I don't know a ton about Ferris State. There was a John Gruden that went there, and I was like, oh, John Gruden went to Ferris State. No, he didn't. This is a different John Gruden, who was a defenseman for the Boston Bruins, Ottawa Senators, and Washington Capitals. But it's a small school. And Trinidad Chambliss played there, and was their starter and put up some really good numbers. This is his final season of college eligibility. He is 23 years old, and he does not have further options unless the Diego Pavia rule extends from junior college to the Division II and III ranks where Trinidad Chambliss played. But you look at the statistics in what Trinidad Chambliss has done, it's been really impressive through essentially 2.5 games of action. He threw 6 passes against Georgia State. He played the entirety of the Arkansas game and the Tulane game, except for one little injury he had against the Arkansas game where Simmons actually came in and threw a touchdown pass on one ankle and then came out of the game. But Trinidad Chambliss has completed 42 of his 62 passes. That's good for 68%. He has thrown 4 touchdowns. he has not turned the football over. Simmons did have some turnover issues in their first 2 games. Chambliss has not done that. He has run Lane Kiffin's offense seamlessly. He has shown the ability to run the football. He ran it 14 times against Tulane for 112 yards. He ran it against Arkansas 15 times for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's shown some quickness, some agility. Doesn't have the arm strength that Simmons has, but he's been very accurate, very efficient, and he's run the show offensively. So he's played very well given the circumstances for his entrance into the action. He did not take first-team reps in the fall. Those went to Austin Simmons. And then he was thrust into action and has performed very, very admirably. Here's what I would tell you about what I do trust and what I don't trust about Trinidad Chambliss. Let's start with what I do trust. He's got an offensive coach in Lane Kiffin who has put up big-time points wherever he's gone. He did it with Jake Coker and Blake Sims at Alabama, who were not the greatest quarterbacks ever to coach and to play in the college football playoffs. He did it at his stop in Boca at Florida Atlantic. And he's done it at Ole Miss, now with 3-4 quarterbacks, however you want to quantify that. He will put up points. He has a quarterback-friendly system that creates big plays, open spaces, that runs the ball very well, that runs tempo, that keeps defenses on its heels. The coach in charge of this offense, I fully trust Austin Simmons, Trinidad Chambliss, Matt Corral, Jackson Dart, Blake Sims, Jake Coker, whoever he had calling it Florida Atlantic, whatever. He's done it no matter what. So you trust that Lane Kiffin has an idea of how to handle Trinidad Chambliss. This is the flip side of that. Georgia State is terrible. Arkansas's defense is terrible. And Tulane is terrible. And that's the competition that Trinidad Chambliss has played to this point. Arkansas is an SEC team, yes. Arkansas just gave up 489 yards and 32 points to Memphis on Saturday. There is a reason why Trinidad Chambliss was able to go 21 out of 29, no picks, that's 72% completion, 353 yards, a touchdown, run it for 2 more scores and 62 yards. This Arkansas defense, the beat writers that cover Arkansas. Remember how August is sunshine and rainbows for everybody? Generally speaking, it is. The folks that covered Arkansas in August were like, this defense might be terrible. It is terrible. And Trinidad Chambliss torched them. And there are probably a lot of folks around these parts that would go, well, Tulane's got a good program. That's a good team. Good job. They had Willie Fritz done a nice job. John Summerall's a good coach. They're a good team. Okay, that's relative. Tulane is good for the American. They're a good American team. When it comes to the top 15 teams in the country, when it comes to the college football playoff, when it comes to the elite level teams in college football, Tulane does not compare. Tulane has had 0 first or second round draft choices since 2008. Okay? I got your Cotton Bowl a few years ago. I understand where all this is coming from in South Louisiana. It's a cool thing to pull for. Uptown, they've been on TV a little bit, whatever. They beat Caleb Wood. Tulane is an American team. They're not good. When relatively speaking, when we talk about championship level football, Tulane's not good. So these are the 2 teams that he's played the majority of his reps against, and they're not good. LSU is good. And this goes back to what I was talking about 2 weeks ago when I was like, well, DJ Lagway is really talented, but he's never really played on the road, and he's never played against a defense this good on the road. This is going to be something new for him. And DJ Lagway played the worst game of his career. This game is going to be played at a whole different speed for Trinidad Chambliss than Kentucky. Whole different speed than Tulane. Now, once again, he will be at home. It'll be quiet for him. He can audible. They're going to run tempo. He's got a great offensive coach who will have a plan for this. I do not expect Trinidad Chambliss to look against LSU the way he did against Arkansas. Those holes are going to close up more quickly. His running backs are not going to be able to gash LSU the way Ole Miss did to Arkansas. And there's going to be pressure on him to play at a speed that you certainly don't see at Ferris State, and he has not seen the first month of the season. The question becomes now, he's not going to reach the level he did against Arkansas and Tulane, in my opinion. How close does he get? Is it pretty close? Does he throw for 280 yards, run for another 40, account for 4 touchdowns? That's close to what he did against Arkansas. And that may be plenty to win. Does he not throw a single interception? That may be plenty to win. Or does this expose a Ferris State quarterback who's played against one of the worst programs in the Southeastern Conference and Tulane as a guy that is probably not ready for that scene? There's a huge range there. And that's probably going to be what decides this. I think that the likelihood to me, as I sit here on Wednesday, this is new news in the last 40 minutes that he is going to be the starter. I was actually, candidly, planning on having this segment on Friday once injury reports started to stack up. We don't have an injury report, but Chris Lowe and Pete Nakos got to the bottom of this, so now it kind of was incumbent upon me to report that report and digest this. I wasn't planning on doing this segment this early in the week, but I think that he will play pretty well. I think he's going to make a couple of mistakes because this is a new stage for him. If this was in Tiger Stadium, I would say Trinidad Chambliss is in trouble. It's not in Tiger Stadium. It's at Vaught-Hemingway, and with that comfortable setting and that coach who I think is just brilliant, I give him a real chance to have a nice game. I do think that Blake Baker will have something for him. When you look at the simulated pressures, you look at what LSU did to DJ Lagway to confuse him, and he has seen Georgia. He has seen Ole Miss with a lot of pros on that defense. DJ Lagway had seen a lot at that point. He had no clue what to do. Cade Klubnik had seen a lot. He made some mistakes on his home field. I think that's coming for Trinidad Chambliss as well. It's just a matter of how much good is he able to do on the other side. Clemson and Florida are a mess on offense. Ole Miss is not a mess on offense. Ole Miss is quite the opposite on offense. So I give Trinidad Chambliss more of a chance than I would assume I would, considering I had never heard of him a month ago. And if you had told me that LSU was going to face a Ferris State quarterback in Oxford, I'd have chalked that baby up as a win right there. I don't feel that way today, but I feel like LSU is going to speed this up to a level that Trinidad Chambliss is going to have to adjust to pretty quickly. The degree to which he does that is going to tell the story coming up on Saturday in Oxford. So that's the report, kicking things off here with our Genesis opening drive. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to get into the pool of your dream today. Not a great day to get in that pool because it's raining outside. But we know there are a lot of hot weather months around here, and if you just got through a summer thinking, man, I wish I had that pool that I've always thought of, call my guy Joey Blanchard and start that process today. You can put your contact information in at builtbyrenaissance.com, or you can call Joey directly. He's the owner of the company at Renaissance Homes and Pools. 225 is his cell, obviously, here in Baton Rouge. 252-7745. 252-7745. That's the number you can get Joey at. Get that consultation, start that design process, and get that pool of your dreams. Outdoor kitchens as well at Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows. When we come back, What If Wednesday? Next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Say it's a bit of a bummer to just look up at the television here, one of the 4 TVs in here, and look at Syracuse just dog walking Clemson. I really thought that was going to be a good win. And I do think there is some credence in suggesting that going to Clemson on opening night at nighttime on the road is still a nice win. It's rapidly devaluing week over week. And if you're talking about a 7-5 Clemson team, suggesting that LSU is going to get any kind of bump from that, the college football playoff is probably wishful thinking. I mean, and at this point, they're marching dead for that. You're talking about a team that's 1-3. So that's a bummer, but let's do something a little bit more cheerful. What about What If Wednesday?
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, first one here. What if you're playing blackjack and get 16 against a 9?
I'm hitting that all day. I hit the soft 16. I hit a hard 16 against a 7, 8, 9 or base card or an ace. I'm trying to get to whatever they have if they have a 10 under. So I got to do that every time. I think that makes some people a little bit cranky, and I certainly don't judge anyone for however they want to play blackjack when I'm at the table with them. I don't think that what they do is going to directly impact me, even though literally it does. It's with cards down, and their quote-unquote screw-up is just as likely to help me out than it is to bankrupt me. So I'm just playing my cards, and we'll see what cards are laid. But if I have 16 and they're showing me 7, 8, 9 face, I'm going to hit every time.
And as we all know, you are a noted blackjack expert player.
I play by the book, and I lose. And I'm going to a casino this weekend to stay.
And probably will lose.
Probably will. I think I'm probably going to do what I did for the Texas A&M game last year as well, though. I think I'm going to put the money on the money line for Ole Miss, and if LSU wins, I'll be thrilled and donate that money right to the book. If LSU loses, I'll be furious to go to the window and collect my money to go lose at blackjack, but that's what I'm going to do.
Still think it makes no sense you do that. But moving on.
How does it make no sense? I get something out of it either way.
Okay, but the emotional hedge thing is not real.
What do you mean? There's literal money. That's real cash that they will give me if emotionally I'm let down. Actual dollars and cents.
Oh, okay, but does that really comfort you?
No, but there is money.
Okay.
Money's good.
All right, next one. What if you got to hit one putt and for every foot you moved away? I feel like we did something like this before, but either way, for every foot you moved away from the hole, the dollar amount grew by 50,000. So I guess you would say that at
50,000 for a 1 footer,
100,000
for 2 feet. So if you go to 10 feet back, that's 500. That's a million.
Yeah, no, 50. Yeah,
50, 500,000. 500,000 for a 10 footer. I'm going to make it from 2 feet. That's $100K.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'm going. I mean, I feel pretty good from 3 feet
well,
too.
There's always, and you always have to consider the circumstance. Like, are we just talking about literally just a flat?
It's a straight putt.
If this is a straight putt,
I'm not asking you to make a curler right to left down the hill.
I would probably push it to 3
for 150K.
I think so.
I feel pretty good from 3 feet. I'm going to make 19 out of 20 from 2 feet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. With no, just flat. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, that's pretty good stuff.
And 100K, I could make 100K work. There's something to be said for trying to like really make an impact there and really back it up. But I'm going to miss. Like, I'll just take the check. I'm risk averse in that way.
Well, that's and then my thinking, I like to play poker, and there's always like, what kind of equity are we getting? Like, what are you losing? What are the odds? Like, what's the value? Like, you're not losing.
You're not losing anything. Correct.
So like at that point,
make a difference.
Yeah, it's like, all right, if I'm not losing anything, I'm like, shoot, let me take a 10 footer that's flat with no break, and I mean the percentages for an average guy from 10 feet with nothing is probably like at least 50%. So I mean, that's
10 feet.
With no break?
Oh, you're at like 18%.
Really? With just
10 feet, yes.
Okay, maybe so, but I mean, I think that
you're
might be
50% from 5 feet.
Probably so, but all right, moving on. What if you could pick one high-level football recruit that LSU just missed out on in the last 15 years and put him through the program? I have one that immediately came to mind.
I mean, I'm thinking about the quarterbacks that LSU would have just missed out on that, like, really blossomed into something great. And, like, is there one obvious one that I'm not?
Well, there's one that I'm thinking of immediately because I was covering the team around this time, and he went on to become an incredible player in the NFL and was good in college, too. Pat Surtain.
So he's absolutely on my list.
But the thing is that we maybe didn't even actually need him because they got Derek Stingley, and like they were still a really good defense.
Stingley was the next year, right?
Yeah. So
he would have been Stingley, Surtain, and Fulton.
Yes.
On that defense.
Like, which would just have been an embarrassment.
Which would not have helped. It would have helped.
Not necessary.
It would. I mean, they couldn't do any better. I think about like. There are offensive linemen right here, right now that I would like to have on this team that they missed out on that are starring elsewhere currently. Tristan Lee's not great at Clemson. He was very much a thought to potentially come to LSU. DeCorian Moore is balling right now at Oregon, and you had him committed at one point as well. Quarterback, if we go back 15 years, that counts Dak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were not good at quarterback over that time, so maybe that
he
helps
wasn't
you
even
out.
a high level recruit though, so
No,
I don't
he
even know
wasn't.
if he really qualifies. I think he was
wasn't.
a 3-star, I think.
It's that's probably a question that would be best answered with like a round table and like 15 minutes to discuss as opposed to right away. But sitting here like right now, I would go with probably with Dak, even though he wasn't a 4 or 5-star recruit, because they very much were in the mixer and they were just late.
Yeah.
And he would have that era was badly quarterbacked, and he was awesome. So that would have changed. That'd have been a big change.
All right, next one. What if Drew Brees played quarterback? I'm guessing we're just assuming that he would be in his theoretical prime.
Yes.
Not currently, but what if he played quarterback for this Saints team? It'd be 7-9, like the 7-9
I think
years.
I'd say 9 and 7.
I think this defense.
I think
is not,
he could. If you, I would need the caveat that he was going to stay healthy.
Well, of course,
which is difficult to do.
Yeah.
But he would make up for the offensive line to an extent, and I think that Shaheed and Olave are good enough.
Johnson's
he didn't
good
play
enough.
with Pro Bowlers anyway.
No.
Like I know that Saints fans love Marcus Colston.
Michael Thomas eventually.
And you should. Eventually Michael Thomas. But I know that Saints fans love Marcus Colston. And you should. He was a great, productive player. I know Saints fans love Lance Moore. Saints and LSU fans together loved Avery Henderson. Those guys were not great NFL players. And if they had played for the Lions during that era, or they had played for the Browns, they'd have been out of the league probably in 4 years. Like, they were good players who were elevated greatly by Drew Brees. And that's what the great ones do. They make everyone around them better. I think the offense would be good. And I think that the defense would be not good, and that's why you wouldn't be a great team. Might not even be a playoff team.
That's why I feel like 7-9 is.
I think they would win more than they lost because the schedule's also not that hard.
That's true.
I mean, they definitely win the first two.
Yeah. The schedule's not good.
So you're 2-1. You're going to beat the two teams once you come back from Buffalo.
Yeah,
it's 4-2 already.
That's true.
So
look at the schedule. That's a fair point.
Just a point of like how big a deal it is to have a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah,
Hope the Saints get another one of those at some point soon. It doesn't feel like it, but maybe.
You never know. All right. Next one. What if you could pick one European Ryder Cup team member to get 0 points this weekend?
That's easy.
Yeah.
Who's it?
It's Rory.
No. I mean, that would be big for America.
Fleetwood?
No. Easy money.
Ludwig?
No.
Well, who?
Wrong.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The absolute worst.
Of course. Yeah.
I want that guy slamming drivers, cussing everybody like he does at every live event that he hates playing in. I know that guy is rich beyond his wildest dreams. He's a multi-time major champion, and he'll be just fine no matter what. I want that guy to be as miserable as possible the entirety of those 3 days. I want him to realize that the one time he actually gets to be on a stage anybody cares about, he stinks, screws it up, and loses. I want him to fail in every major. He can go off into anonymity and win $1 bajillion in Abu Dhabi or wherever the hell Liv wants to play, and that's all well and good for his checking account, and that's great. And I hope his home life is wonderful. When he's on the golf course, I want him miserable, and I want him very miserable the last 3 days.
And it's not a bad pick either because he has been good in the Ryder Cup. He's been pretty
just
solid.
a great player.
He's just a really good player. Yeah,
a Hall of Fame player.
But not all guys are always really good in the Ryder Cup too. I mean, it sometimes doesn't translate. But yeah, he's been good. So that's a fair point.
It's
fair
the
pick.
answer if I'm trying to get Team USA to win is Rory because he's going to play at least 4 sessions, probably 5. And if he goes 0-4, then they're toast.
They're toast. Yeah. All right, next one. What if an LSU fan asked you for a tip on traveling to Oxford?
I have been to Oxford. How many times have I been to Oxford? 2007, 2009, 2011. I did not go in 13. Then I went to 2 baseball series. So I've been to Oxford 5 times. Ajax Diner on the Square.
Gotta go there.
Excellent like home cooking place.
Been there as well. It's very good.
Great stuff. And then I would also suggest, a little tip here, when you are going up to Oxford, the best exit to get off of is Madison. It has got really, really nice gas stations. Very, very clean. A lot of selection, a lot of options. They're all also uniformly bricked, so they don't have their actual like usual Circle K doesn't look like Circle K, Shell doesn't look like Shell, 7-Eleven doesn't look like 7-Eleven. They all bricked with their little logo on it. It's very, very nice exit. So if you are heading up to Oxford, get off at that exit and then go eat some at Ajax. You need to walk through the Grove, but as I said yesterday on the show, like the Grove is a little bit overrated, and if you don't know where you're going, you have nowhere to go. It's all jammed in there like sardines. Not my favorite spot, but Ajax, very good food.
Alrighty, let's see if we got any in the chat. What if the Cubs still only play day games at home? That's interesting.
A lot of those would be during my show, which is a little bit of a bummer, and I enjoy watching the Cubs at night. I did not enjoy watching the Cubs last night.
Nope.
Just atrocious performance, and the Ace got hurt.
Terrible choke job.
But that would be a little bit of a bummer because I like to watch the Cubs at night when I'm home and have the opportunity to do that, even though usually I have to watch LSU versus Louisiana Tech football highlights the whole time I'm at home, which have been now played 96 times at my house.
96. It's a good impressive number.
He gets out of bed, his feet hit the floor. Dad, can I watch the Tigers and the Bulldogs where they run out? Because they run out of the tunnel in the first scene. That's the first thing he says.
We still got to see if we can see whenever we get Jack Pimer next on Player Review so you can ask him.
That's true. We did not have him last night.
The color, favorite color.
Shark Dogs in action potentially tonight if it doesn't keep raining.
Oh, yeah. That's
midweek action, which we know midweek games don't count.
Midweek
so this
games,
one doesn't count.
and it might be a little bit of a slog there on the field, Hunt.
They won't be playing through a slog.
It's raining.
If it rains anymore, then they're done. And I'll go to LSU basketball practice.
Oh. Basketball or baseball?
Basketball.
Okay.
They start today. Bradley Semino did put on Twitter, what if Landry Kiffin breaks up with Whit Weeks during the pregame? I'm not going to name any names. One of my producers might be happy about that. There's no names are going to be named here.
Just
one of my producers.
It could be me.
It could be.
It could be.
Again, we're not going to divulge anything that's behind the scenes.
No, not necessarily.
We'll see. Apparently, Lane Kiffin got asked about this on the teleconference.
He did.
Again, I didn't.
He did get asked.
We're on the air.
He did. He said, I think he just said, yeah, I'm happy for her, but this doesn't have anything to do with the game.
Okay. Nice job, Lane. Very grown-up answer. Let's talk to JD PicKell next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Check out the GV80. GV80 is an incredible mid-size SUV. Got enough room for the family. Also not a big tank. The SUVs, I just don't necessarily like. They're so big. My dad drives one. It's enormous. I just like one that's a little more stylish, a little more comfortable, a little bit smaller, but still has the size of that SUV. The GV80 is one of those. If that sounds like your kind of SUV, get on by and test drive it. You don't even have to get on by to test drive it. They'll drive it to you at home, at the office, wherever you may be. One of their brand ambassadors will come with you, get you behind the wheel, and if you decide that's the car for you, they'll drive it right to you for delivery. E-contracts, you never have to set foot on the lot. And then for 3 years to maintenance that vehicle, they'll do it complimentary, and you don't have to go do it then. Valet. Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. A luxury brand at a reasonable price. Get on by and see them at Airline at PQ. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Chugging along here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Let's go out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, chat with our guy, JD PicKell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports, talking college football. JD, how we doing?
Brother, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing quite well. Saw your video on the state of things in Gainesville, Florida. It appears you have now finally turned the page and said, look, it's not going to work.
Yeah, Hunt, the thing is, I feel like when I said that, I was met with a lot of different responses of like, oh, just now you're out? You're out now? It took you that long? I'm like, didn't a lot of y'all have him in a college football playoff before this year? Like, I get the USF thing is a bad look, but I'm like, dude, me jumping ship in the month of September, I don't think like that late to the party. If the USF thing is what threw you off, the boat, okay, that's fine. But I remember a year ago, people jumped off the Notre Dame boat after they lost to NIU and they played for a national championship. So I get kind of this reputation, Hunt, of a glass half full guy and an optimist and those. And I'm like, I'm okay with that title, but to act like I was late on getting off of Billy Napier, I didn't have them as a 10-win team in Atlanta playing for the SEC. Like, I feel like I'm actually appropriately departing from the Billy Napier experience in Gainesville, and it looks like Florida might be the one who's actually late on this thing.
I'm curious your opinion on the state of that Florida program and job. Like, it's a different era than it was 15 years ago. great recruiting spot, but I don't know how in the boosters are facility-wise and kind of what the recruiting landscape is. And I bring this up because a lot of people are going to throw Lane Kiffin's name like right up there and go, oh, what about Lane Kiffin? I'm like, I'm not 100% sure that Florida's a better gig than Ole Miss. What are your thoughts on where Florida sits in this hierarchy?
No, I'm 100% with you. And the Lane Kiffin thing, I think, is the most interesting discussion to have when it comes to like potential fit. Because I do think that whoever takes over the Billy Napier, team that's right now in Gainesville will take over a better position than Billy Napier took over. Because I think the roster in itself, like we keep saying this, like it's a good roster, which is why it's easy to see how they could be a team that could compete for a college football playoff spot, or go get somebody in the month of October. Like I'm not sure they're not going to beat Texas here, Hunt. So I say all that to say the Kiffin thing is interesting because I feel like he is, for him, at the best spot in Ole Miss because he just kind of beats to his own drum and is going to tweet and is going to say things in the media and is going to tell people online to take it over when they play LSU and all those things. Like I'm honestly cool with that, but I think that not every booster in America or not every AD in America is cool with that, which is a big reason why I didn't think the Auburn job made a lot of sense for him. So the Kiffin thing to me is kind of like, hey, if you sign up for Kiffin, you're in with all the other Kiffin-isms, which I don't know that Florida would be in for. But, I think Ole Miss kind of fits him better. So I don't know if I actually answered your question there relative to, like, the Florida job in general. I think that to be successful at Florida, you have to embrace Florida, and Florida has to embrace you, which is still, I think, a pretty good candidate pool, but I don't think Lane Kiffin fits into that candidate pool, in my opinion.
I was looking over questions to ask you here, and I'm about to ask you about a team that I have not mentioned once since maybe last October. Are you paying any attention at all to Southern Cal? They're 4-0, 2-0 in the Big Ten. They got 3 ranked opponents coming up on their schedule. Like, are they worth paying attention to right now?
You know, I get pegged as like an SEC homer or like having bias towards the SEC because we do a college football show and you talk about teams like the SEC. I actually grew up in Southern California, like going to USC games. So just by definition, by proximity to USC, I paid attention to them. But even throughout this offseason, like what they did on the recruiting trail, the staff moves they made, hiring Chad Bowden away from Notre Dame, one of the best GMs in America. I've kept tabs on them, honestly, specifically because of this weekend and knowing that we're going to break down the Illinois game.
Yeah.
I think that what they are right now is a really interesting spot because it's less volume than I think there's ever been around USC, and I think that's actually perfect for them because they're kind of, I think, rewiring how they do things, and it's hard to rewire with a lot of extra noise. But remember, like the last couple of seasons, we've talked about Caleb Williams, and is he good enough to get into the playoffs, and then the defense. But like this offseason, like the storyline was kind of, okay, we'll see with USC. And now what you just said, they're sitting there at 4-0, and they're top 25 in yards per carry and yards per carry allowed in America. It's like, hang on a second. Like, if they beat Illinois, they're going to have some big games with the game at Michigan in the Coliseum. They'll go to Notre Dame. They'll play Nebraska. Like, the volume around USC is, I think, about to boom. So to answer your question, yes, kept tabs on USC, and I like what I'm seeing. I think they're more organized. I think they have better quarterback play. I think they have better offensive and defensive line play. So I think USC could kind of be a factor here if they beat Illinois and roll into October undefeated.
Speaking of Illinois, they got run off the field by Indiana. Now the Hoosiers turn around and go to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City to play Iowa. Is that a bit of a trouble spot for Indiana, or you believe that they're just going to steamroll through that one too?
I'd like to think it'd be a trouble spot because of it being Iowa and knowing we know about them year in, year out with how, just the brand of ball they play. I'm sort of resigned to the fact that I just have had a lack of a feel on the Kurt Signetti thing. You know what I mean? Like last year, obviously it was easy to tell the story about them with the Ohio State loss and how bad their schedule was. But dude, when they beat the brakes off Illinois, with all the things you said about Illinois in the preseason, I was kind of like, hang on a second. This might just kind of be who Kurt Signetti is. Like, he sort of beats to his own drum, not sort of he does. He talks his cash, and, like, his team responds to that. And so for that reason, I think that line started, Hunt, on Saturday night at 2.5, favoring Indiana. It's up to 7.5 right now. I think Indiana rolls. I don't think they can keep pace with them being Iowa.
Let's go to the two big ones that headline the night slate. Oregon at Penn State. Whiteout, Nittany Lions 3.5-point favorites. Ducks flying high, playing well. What do you think?
I like Oregon, man. I like Oregon. I know it's kind of the trendy pick right now, and it's dangerous to bet against Penn State in the whiteout, but I don't know that Penn State, one, has the firepower offensively that they needed to have without Tyler Warren and the work they did in the portal to get those receivers. I also think one thing that's being overlooked is Dante Moore having been in the Oregon system for 2 years is important. I think it's more important that Penn State has only had a spring and a fall camp under Jim Knowles' defense. Because the thing that we said when he was the DC at Ohio State was like, hey, he's great defensively. He's going to have one of the best schemes in college football, but like it might take a second because his defense is really freaking hard to install. Like you go from knowing what to do to then actually playing football. That usually takes about 2 years. Like Dante Moore is not thinking when he's back there. Like he is pulling the trigger, letting it rip. And so if he's up against a defense that is where you would expect a first-year Jim Knowles defense to be, still trying to kind of get their footing schematically, I don't like that equation. So for that reason, I like Oregon to win.
Alabama headed between the hedges to take on Georgia. Bulldogs 3.5-point favorite, but Kirby's had some trouble. Alabama in his time there. What you think?
I kind of go back to this idea. Is Kalen DeBoer really going to go 2-0 against Kirby Smart? Like, is that going to happen? I mean, it could. It absolutely could. I sort of have a harder time believing that happened in Athens. And if it does, then I think we need to go back to how we view Kalen DeBoer and kind of put some more respect back on his name. I was taken aback as to how dynamic Georgia was offensively against Tennessee, like them pushing the ball downfield and scoring 44, and the way they did it with Gunnar Stockton throwing for 300. If they can do that against this Bama secondary with all the talent they have, I think at that point we view Georgia as a team that can, not just be a team that wins the SEC and all that. Like they legitimately could be a scary outfit come November, December, and so on and so forth. So I like Georgia. I have a hard time telling myself DeBoer is going to beat Kirby twice, much less being in Athens.
LSU at Ole Miss. Sounds like Trinidad Chambliss for the Rebs. No Austin Simmons. LSU got that high-flying defense. We'll see what they can do against the Rebs. What you think?
I think Brian Kelly's about to run the ball, man. Like I think that he's going to be out through a point. And that Ole Miss defense, I'm sure you mentioned a time or two, or this station mentioned a time or two on this show, like giving up 5 yards of carry. They only play with 3 true defensive linemen in the game to this point, at least. Like I think that Brian Kelly is going to say, boys, we got to run the ball. Like if we can't run the ball against this Ole Miss defense, like we got to reevaluate our postseason aspirations. So I think they run the ball early, open up shots downfield late, and I love Trinidad Chambliss. I have a hard time seeing him going from Ferris State to then playing against this LSU defense with no acclimation period. He hasn't had that yet. I think LSU wins.
We shall see. 2:30 kick on ABC between the Tigers and Rebs on Saturday. JD PicKell, host of The Hard Count. Check him out wherever you find your podcasts, on 3's YouTube channel with us every single Wednesday. Thanks, man.
You're the man. Appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Sure will. That is JD PicKell. Come back and close out the hour with Saints Talk next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com. Big week in the world of golf. Ryder Cup is coming up. You want to watch the Ryder Cup on TV and hit some golf shots with Bethpage on the simulator. You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can avoid the Saints on Sunday and just make that your Sunday afternoon plans. It's inside. Doesn't matter if it's raining like it is right now, 95 degrees like it will be tomorrow. Swing Easy Golf Club, it's climate control. So you can work on your game, have some fun on the golf simulator, socialize, drink a cold beer, have a glass of wine, hang out with friends. They got seating areas for you as well. It's a great place to hang out. They're on Segan, right there at Perkins. Just go by and see them. Try it out for yourself. I promise you, you will enjoy your time over there. It's Swing Easy Golf Club. You can find them online, swingeasygcbr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, some updated odds for win totals in the National Football League. The Saints has been lowered to 3.5. That is the lowest in the National Football League. Not surprising. The Saints are 0-3, and last week was humiliating. Keep in mind, this time last week, we weren't talking in these terms because you'd lost games on the last possession, which happens every week in the NFL, but you get blown out like the Saints did on Sunday, and things and perspectives change, and Saints can do something to redeem themselves on Sunday if they go up there and play a tight game with Buffalo. I don't think that's going to happen, but it certainly could. Wouldn't be the first time a team that was winless went and played one of the teams that was one of the best in the NFL and played a tight game. And then you got chances to come back and win on your home field against two teams that are kind of in your boat with New York and New England. The question is, can the Saints get over the 3.5? Like, that's kind of the exercise that I want to go through here. So work with me and see if we can get the Saints to the over. I'm obviously going to throw away the game at Buffalo, but we've talked a lot about the game against the Giants and the Patriots that are coming up at home. What if I give the Saints one of those? So that's one win. They lose the other one. Okay. You're at Chicago. That is a winnable game. It's on the road. I'll say that the Saints won't win that game. You're home against Tampa. No. At the Rams. No. You do have Carolina coming up twice. This is an at Carolina, and then you got Carolina in the Dome in December. I'll give you one of those. One against Carolina. I think that's fair as well. So that's two. Then here are some other possibilities. At Miami, probably not. Miami played better last week.
Might fire their coach. We'll see.
We'll see. You got the Jets coming to the Dome in late December, the 21st. I think that is a very possible one. I'll give you that one. That's three. Then I got to get one more. You got division games with Atlanta, two of those. You've got a game at the Titans, who look terrible. You've got an opportunity to play, as I mentioned, the Bears earlier. I need to get one of those. So the best way to get to this over number is to get one against the Giants or New England, to get one against the Panthers, to get one against the Jets, and then one more of the remaining, which is probably going to entail at Chicago, at Miami, or at Tennessee, one of those road games. If you get that, that's four. It's possible. Is it likely, Beck? Do you feel like the Saints have four in them?
You know, we always say, especially with football, it is a week-to-week sport, and you get so high and low after each game. And the Saints are 0-3 right now. They got blown out by the Seahawks. They were very competitive in the first two games. But to me, it feels like this team can win four games pretty handedly, I think. It's a long season. Like, it is. The Saints are going to play worse probably, and they're also going to play better. And there's a lot of games left on the schedule. So I would hesitate to say they're only going to win three games right now. I'm trying not to be hyperbolic in how badly they played against the Seahawks.
It was awful. And this is the most important thing. You cannot do what you did in Seattle, because if you do what you do in Seattle, every time you do that, you are destroying an opportunity to develop a young quarterback. I don't care if it's Rattler or Shuck, because if you get penalties constantly, you immediately fall behind because you can't block for a punt or tackle a punt returner, and you're unable to even stay remotely competitive. You lose a developmental day because then you have to throw it all the time. The defense knows you're throwing it all the time. They can pin their ears back and come at the rush. Like, you don't give your quarterback a chance of development if you continue to play as poorly as they did. The wins and losses, again, are not the most important thing for this group at this point. There will come a point where that's the only thing that matters. It's not today. You've got to at least stay competitive. You can develop Spencer Rattler and or Tyler Shuck in games that look like the Cardinals game, in games that look like the 49ers game. You can't do squat in games that look like the Seattle game. So you've got to clean up all this other dumb stuff where you're headbutting guys and you got too many guys on the field and you're getting pre-snap penalties. They have 15 pre-snap penalties, which are just going to put you behind the eight ball. You got to play better on special teams, and you got to stay competitive so you can develop your young quarterbacks. That's the most important thing. Whether or not that results in you getting over 3.5 wins, I don't know. And really, is probably irrelevant unless that's the number that tips the scales between, hey, you got a chance at the number one overall pick, or hey, you're picking fourth, which, if that's the case, I'd probably rather pick first, if we're being candid. And I don't think that every single solitary Saints fan is on board right this second with losing all the time and pulling for your team to lose, considering you're not trying to get a coach fired at this point. But you're going to get closer and closer to that as the months progress. And eventually you look up and your record is what it is and you go, well, they probably need to lose. And maybe you need to think they need to be embarrassed far enough that Mickey Loomis has to be taken out with this because he's the one who assembled this product. That's maybe the hope for a lot of Saints fans. We'll see. I think the 3.5 number is fair. I would have a hard time going over it right now, but I can certainly see a path beyond it. And honestly, we're going to have a real good idea of this thing by October the 12th, because that's when you got the Giants and New England coming in. If you can't beat either one of those two teams on your home field, well, the under is a lock. But if you can win one or two, then you start to see those improvements that we've been kind of talking about. And that's ultimately what you're trying to see from this season anyway, is just improvement over the course of time. Let's look at the New Orleans Saints here on this Wednesday, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Step aside for SportsCenter, get your national headlines. Lots to do in hour number 2. We know who LSU's playing the next 4 years. My thoughts next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. David Vaughn and his team been at it 30 years, redesigning, remodeling bathrooms and closets. One of the things that David and his team do all the time is they take one of those classic bathrooms that were built 80s, 90s, and early 2000s that has the stand-in shower with the big jacuzzi tub. And if you never use that big jacuzzi tub and your shower's getting a little dingy, not functioning the way that it did 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, well, take that shower out, put it in a linen closet. They'll look it really, really nice. And you can take that space where that big tub is that you never use and put in a brand new glass walk-in shower. They can redefine your entire bathroom, and they're happy to do something like that. It starts with a free consultation. David will walk you through it. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find their work as well as reviews of their great work at onebathandclosets.com. One Bath and Closets.